Hey guys, Darren Benson again with Performance Motorcoaches down in Wolford, Texas. Finally bringing you another classic video. These always seem to flow a little better. Been doing this for a while, so we'll go ahead and jump into it. So don't fall in love too much with this floor plan right here because it won't be available in 2023. This is a 45 CBH. So basically it's lacking a slide over here. And if you want this particular floor plan, you're going to have to add a slide. You can do it in the CMR, which is the full slide, so kitchen and the seating, or the CME, which is basically just a entertainment. I guess that's what the E stands for, CME. So essentially you can put a couch or you can put a dinette in there, so just a small slide. So the reason why this customer picked up on this was because he's heard me talk about the lack of plumbing and slides and wanted simplicity. So the customer is actually upgrading from a Verona into this Classic, wants the big horsepower, wants the drivability, wants the taller ceilings, wants 3 air conditioners, and so this was kind of the jump for him. They travel quite a bit. They use their coach kind of, I would say probably 50-50, and they wanted something, the least number of potential problems, but wanted the big chassis. So we're happy to get their Verona bunkhouse in on trade, and we'll get this coach delivered to them. They added lots of small things throughout the process. I'll kind of try to highlight those, and then also talk about some of the things that we look forward to the 2023 and some of the stuff we can do to the current units out there. So it is the Cascadia 126, so it's the big boy chassis, 600 horse, DT12 transmission coupled with it. Kind of my go-to. It will always be my go-to until something comes out better. I like the larger cab. I like the cutout in the Cascadia cab. Will always be my go-to. Always be my go-to engine transmission. So the 600 horsepower, 1850 torque. It does have all the adaptive cruise, all the crash mitigation. This does have the blind spot monitoring, which I'm not a big fan of. The lane departure, which you can easily shut off inside the cab. We did add these mirrors to this guy once we got it here. Pretty easy install. The first time we've ever added these to a coach. I was a little worried about drilling in the right place. If you open up the inside of the hood, there's 4 little dots. Drill the dots, throw the mirrors on. So pretty simple deal. You know, of course, all these newer Cascadias have the LED headlights. A lot of these later, which I'm personally not a big fan of this lower piece, you can't take this off. If you take it off, you'll see holes, so unfortunately it just kind of is what it is. No blackout package on this, but easy to do after the fact. All this stuff is available from Freightliner. Customer wanted the bunk over to be able to throw somebody else up there, or the additional sleeping area. Another thing to consider if you're looking for something a little bit quicker, all of the aero caps have to be painted. So it takes a little bit longer to paint those, a little bit more money. So roughly you're talking about almost close to 10 grand if you want the aero cap. So it's a pretty good price for a really aerodynamic look by the time you get it painted and do the cap itself. The customer just opted for the regular bunk over here. We'll come down the side of this. Pretty common placement for the Aquahot. On most of these coaches, and even like the CME, the CMR will be up here, right up here. Let's have the outdoor TV 2022 and beyond. These guys will actually come out, move around, and then there is a sound bar below there, little USB underneath there. All of the baggage compartments do have the optional lining to them. This has the table and chairs, so these are kind of the extra chairs. I'm a big fan of having a home for everything, so this drives me nuts. There's not a good place to put those other than a storage compartment. So don't know what they intend on doing. I wish there was a better setup for having the additional chairs, but that's pretty common in the diesel pusher world to have the extra chairs kind of hang out. A lot of those you can put in a closet, but there's no big massive closet to take and put those in. So just preference here. Another thing that I kind of forgot to highlight, this will be the last of the side mounted awnings. Now I love the way the rooftop awnings look. They a phenomenal look. It hides most of your business up on your rooftops. A lot of times I will do the rooftop awnings, the fake cans, and it's a really great, sleek look. There again, functionality, get the awning lower, more shade. Also, we did six solar panels, so you start to run out of real estate up on the top of this guy. So it was kind of imperative that you did that. We have escape hatch, we have additional roof vents, so we really needed to get the awning down on the side. Not available in 23. So kind of, we'll see how long that actually plays out. I have a feeling that the customization might come back to a certain degree in 2024 or maybe later 2023. So just, you know, to me, that makes sense. I don't like the way it looks, but functionality, it's gonna be a lot better because it's down a little bit lower. All these are all self-locking with a remote or the keypad there. Nice tri-mark setup, easy to use, easy to operate, and easy to change the codes as well. So we shoved the other chair back there. I didn't want to shove it underneath that 3/4 pass-through and scratch that up, but that's a pretty cool thing to add to all these coaches. That will be available in 2023 as far as line compartments, the 3/4 pass-through, some additional tile right there. Knock on wood, we've not had any broken tile since we've been dealing in the Renegade line coaches. Did not do a central vac, but there is a 110. We added several 110s down this side just to be able to plug in whether a phone charger, a battery charger for a drill, or even like a golf cart for that matter. Cool thing is you can actually select what kind of amp rating you want on those plugs. So let's say you had something that drew a fair amount of power, like an air compressor. We can do a dedicated 20 amp service in that storage compartment. Come back around. Of course, the Classics do not have a fiberglass cap. Won't be an option. I don't think it'll ever be an option. So some people don't feel like they look as finished. But another thing to consider, Renegade is sticklers on overall length. So the fiberglass cap basically sticks a little bit further back here, and so that actually limits some of your coach. So that's part of the reason why they do it. And then part of the reason is if you want the cap, you get an XL or an Icon. This is just kind of a marketing scheme. But in my personal opinion, doesn't bother me. I want more coach, and I'm willing to give up a little bit of aesthetics for more coach. They changed this that hammered powder coat look. I kind of like that hammered powder coat look that they did on the Gen Y hitches. Now this is a black powder coat. Just preference. I kind of like that, even though it didn't match. So you had black here, and then this kind of a hammered coating there. Nice thing about these, if you've not seen me talk over and over, this is just like one size fits all. You can do so many different things with this guy. So let me pull this guy out here. So pintle hitch there, move this hitch up or down, flat toe there. You could flat toe up there. You could do a bike rack there. You could do a flat toe here. Be a little tough to do a bike rack and hitch, but if you had a little bit longer hitch, as long as you didn't have anything. But I mean, to me, this is kind of the best thing since sliced bread. Just makes it where you can do whatever the heck you want without having to go to so many places. The only thing you might have to do, I believe that this is a 2.5 inch versus I'm gonna have to double check that because I know the earlier ones were 2.5. This looks like a 2 inch to me. Hold tight, I'm going. We got our tape measure and our tape measure handlers. You know what? It is a 2.5, so I wasn't crazy, so it is 2.5. The only thing you might need would be some kind of adapter. Now the guys that run the big 15,000 pound tow bars goes right in there, but you might have to do some adaptation from there. I'm just going to put all this stuff in. Won't bore you with putting everything back in, but cool setup. To me, a great answer, and only available on the Classics right now. I can't get on anything else. Generator tailpipe exits right here. For the racers, we could do a Genturi exhaust right there that would port that up. We did not do the optional light package. You can do, so essentially that little guy right there that goes horizontal, you could do some more of those on the back of the coach. You cannot add them after the fact. We've tried to add wires in the back of the coach and were pretty unsuccessful. So if you want some more lights, you need to make sure you add it as an option on the coach itself. So inside here we do have a 50 amp plug. So this guy being a racer, I know he tells it a little bit smaller trailer, so I don't know if he'll utilize that big 50 amp there. Nice little buddy plug. So if you had a friend with a travel trailer or some rickety generator, you could easily plug in there. So you have ample power with the big 12.5 generator right here. That's another thing you don't see anymore. No more bathroom windows in the back. Kind of hate to see that go. Wet bay here. Clean, clean, clean. I mean, just easy to operate. No stickers other than that one warning sticker. Everything is water jetted in there. You don't have to worry about any kind of valves. If you can read plain English, you can operate this coach as far as getting water in the coach, as far as dumping everything. Customer did opt for the macerator pump there, so essentially that makes dumping your tanks a little bit easier if you need to pump uphill, and just a little bit less smell with that system as well. Did opt for the side turn signals. To me, that's kind of no-brainer as well. Just if somebody's hanging out, more than anything, it's kind of someone's hanging out in this area and you want to get their attention, you fire those off and it gets their attention pretty quick. So the addition of the gray water, black water here, so that's all wet bay, gray water, black water. So this is probably one of the most impressive things about this coach. So we were able to slide 4 of those bad boys in there. So those are 270 amp hour batteries. So if anybody that kind of knows anything about lithium, Battleborn, so this is kind of the business side of Battleborn, the Dragon Fly Lithium Batteries. There is heat built in those guys. If you want to kind of step back, I'm going to get in here and kind of show. So it did come equipped with the Victron inverters. The previous Magna inverters were a little bit difficult to get to, and they weren't the best friend for the lithiums. They had some charging issues at times where they didn't like to charge a low battery, or sometimes they would just kind of go to sleep and not charge the battery. So the Victron was a welcome addition to these coaches. It was kind of the other side that, we're happy to have the batteries, but we kind of had a crap inverter. So nice to have the Victron. There's so much about this we're continuing to learn. And so we did a few different things that I'll share with you here in a minute. They've always had the dongle back there. So basically that is a Bluetooth controller for your inverters. But it kind of stopped and started there. We got rid of the Giboni solar controllers, added the Victron there. So 60 amp. So we got 6 panels up top, and I think we were outside earlier. We were cranking, 600. It was later in the afternoon. We were 700 watts earlier. So that's a decent amount of power. Of course, at full sun, we'll be able to get a lot more. Only 60 amps, so it's not like you're putting a ton of power in those, but you're doing pretty much the maximum with it, considering your real estate up top. We did add, this is a big deal, and this kind of always drove me nuts. The customer kind of heard me bitch and complain and said, well, it's a good idea as well. So you really can't shut these coaches down because they didn't do a battery switch. So even though the inverters were off, they still had a fair amount of parasitic power loss or power draw, so we just added some simple battery switches. The budget, I guess, just didn't call for $25 worth of battery switches. We added them to them. Customer's happy. We do have, of course, this is not a big deal right now. So there is a Victron shunt that comes standard, but we actually go through and bring everything together with one of the Victron servos. I'll show you that inside here in a second. Little chassis battery right there, and there is a little quick disconnect to be able to add some air to a tire, add maybe a toy as well. There's a little bit of room underneath there, put some small items. The fuel tank does protrude back into your conversion, so 120 gallon, which is That's really all you can get on this Cascadia. Is we're getting so much weight with these coaches up on the front. I mean, doing all those batteries, all those inverters, tile showers, tile floors, it just adds so much weight. So 18,000 pound front, pretty much limited to the single 120 gallon fuel tank, which is just fine by me. We did upgrade the seats to this guy. People that have listened to me really, they know how much I hate the seats that they put in. For 23, they're actually going to recover a decent seat, but to me, this will always be my go-to. Gets pretty darn pricey. You know, we're talking over $2,000 a piece for these seats, so they get really pricey. But you know, to me, it's kind of a small price to pay for comfort out on the road itself. So got those seats swapped out for them. In fact, I swapped them out at the Renegade. I swapped them out before it left Renegade. So I think pretty easy to get to here. I've done a few ride-along videos, so the people that comment say, do a cab video. I've done a Cascadia Explorer, so we've done some ride-alongs there. We don't have time to do a ride-along on this guy right here. So let's go ahead and cruise inside. Some side turn signal cams right there. That's part of the crash mitigation and blind spot. And then it's difficult to see, but back behind, in the middle of the windshield upper is part of that system too. And then we did add an additional monitor back behind that. A lot of people have complained about the Garmin GPS and the camera integration. So standard for 23 will be that monitor right up top. I think they didn't like to hear me complain anymore. Get this closed up. Come on inside. Tiled entry, they're actually doing a solid surface entry, kind of like you've seen on the Verona LEs and the Explorers. Kind of hate to, I'm kind of old school classic guy. I kind of like the tiled entry. So there again, functionality is really what this customer was all about. So they wanted nice walk room here. They wanted a really usable coach. So if if they pull over to a rest stop, if they pull into a parking lot, they don't have to start opening up slides to be able to utilize the coach. So they're going to use it as a workspace. That's the reason why they did this particular setup right here. But still a ton of room here. Let's see if we can get these guys out and see if you can utilize them. Almost all the way out, so you can utilize those so your passenger appreciates a little extra comfy ride back here. Small little sofa right here. If a person wanted a larger sofa, they're going to have to do that CME, and like I said, that will be a slide right there. But just they like the idea of having some opposing seating. I'm a big fan of that. Just makes conversations flow a little bit better. So really really can't be utilized for anything other than just sitting. It's a jackknife, so really no room there. Bunk over here. There is an escape hatch up there. We'll get that here in a minute whenever I open this up. Kind of my signature, the cabinets on this side, so that makes it so it's more easy. It's a little bit easier to find bedding. Those 100+ inch mattresses really get difficult to find any kind of bedding. So we're right about 80 inches here, and this is I think this is a 60-inch bunk over, so essentially a queen size. Big room here. This piece will come out. I've never met anybody that actually pulls these out, but just a simple fact that you can kind of duck in and duck out there. This one light, absence of the night light's driving me crazy. So we'll go ahead and get flopped around here. There again, a ton of room right here. I'm personally not a fan of that CMR, that really narrow doorway. It just seems to kind of confine things. You know, they'd have the pocket door, and don't know why it's such a thing, but I just like so much more room here. You know, whenever you're doing any kind of laundry, I feel like I've got a lot more room in this particular area right here than that really common CMR floor plan. Probably not that much more storage itself. That guy's moved right over there. Kitchen's a little bit larger, but a cool setup. Maybe in time we'll see this particular floor plan come back. So I'm going to go ahead and extend the slide out. We can do that right here. This coach right here, unfortunately they had some bedding shortage, so we don't have the bedding on it. We find most people take the bedding off anyhow, so we weren't too terribly concerned about that. There is a lockout on these, so if your ignition is on, you can't run your slides, you can't run your awning as well. All those things will retract if your ignition is on, but you can't push anything out. So we'll go ahead and flip-flop again. Decent room here. We got the escape hatch. They do ship it with this ladder. Pretty heavy duty ladder. This is all Maple Cabinetry. This is a burnished sable. They call this like a Quicksilver. This is more kind of a, actually they call it Houston taupe, but it's more silver than it is tan, in my opinion. The reason why they started doing a lot of escape hatches, they deleted the ladder, so that makes it handy to be able to go up on the roof if you need to get up there and take a look at your solar panels, clean those off, not a problem there. I'm going to pop this back. Try not to bang it up too much. Wish they had a little bit better setup for these ladders right here so they would kind of lock into place. But theater seats on this side, these do heat and massage. There's a little cubby hole right here with a 12 volt USB and then also a 110 connection there. That's all integrated with the inverter as well. Overhead here, customer wanted all the additional storage. Gone will be the big giant picture windows. You can do this same size in a picture window, so it won't have any kind of division, but this will be the biggest windows you'll see in 2023. We'll flop around the kitchen. Let me turn the light on. Induction cooktop. We'll spot right here for a pull-out trash can. All adjustable shelves. And a little lower pantry. All the drawers, they're all soft close and they are all dovetail as well. They do the silverware drawer right here. Lots of silverware while you're driving down the road. And then they have a little bit more room back in there. The subwoofer that's integrated with the sound bar goes into that guy. So solid surface countertops, they did opt for the solid surface shower as well. You cannot do any kind of option for quartz or granite. That option has gone away, so you'll have to go all the way up to a really high line coach if you want those options. But to me, it's a good looking surface right there, really not a major concern. Tile backsplash as well. We did add I guess I just can't sell. Okay, so our PepWave router is right there. So we actually had to pull through the ceiling and exit out, but the router is located there. We installed that here at the shop itself. And electrical there, and the individual pull-out drawers right here, and some electrical there in the bottom. Don't let me forget the servo. Don't let me forget the servo. So, half bath right here, decent amount of room. Window will be standard in this guy right here. So not a ton of room. This is the, if you want to know how you keep the pressurized water from going outside. So if you're really cold environments, didn't want to run the hydronic register, you could actually cut the water off, pressurized water right there. Pocket door. These actually dual because this doorway is really nice and wide. I'm willing to deal with 2 pocket doors if I can get wider doorways. It makes a huge difference. It just seems seems so much larger in this coach, in my opinion. So, guys will go up right there. Little magnets on both sides. So this particular bed right here is a 66. You could option for a 72, but the little cubby holes on each side of the bed go away. You can actually do this down to a 60 wide, and those cubby holes get really, really big. So for 23, you could do this particular setup right here with your egress above your head, or you could do a 32-inch TV over here with an egress, or you could do the 32-inch TV, still with your egress back there, but some additional, like basically the placement of your window, you could do some additional drawers in that area. This makes it pretty nice. If you had some, nicer hangers, to be able to turn them sideways, get them a little bit more storage back behind there. Fresh water on all these coaches will be underneath the bed, so 2 75-gallon water tanks. I'll take and plop this dude up. We got the coach filled with water. We make sure we fill everything up, and we do fill them up with nice reverse osmosis water. Keep all your faucets nice and clean while you're driving home. Come back here. Decent room here. I'm not going to get in that because it looks really wet. Well, maybe I'll be really careful. So pretty good sized shower in here. Lots of room. Does have the slide bar here. Makes it pretty handy. Be able to conserve water. Be able to turn your water on and off with this guy right here. And a lot of times here lately, just to kind of keep things from, they've been doing this little trick, just so it doesn't jiggle off while you're driving down the road. No skylight. Not a fan of the skylight, but we do have the nice fan there. And I'll do the toilet flop. So decent amount of room right here. Plenty of drawers. There is some additional drawer features back here, but I don't know exactly where the heck you'd put them. Did do ceiling fans front and rear. Like I said, we've got fans at each bath location. We did a fan here just for cooking to kind of have a little bit of airflow. And technically you could do one fan in the bunk over. I wouldn't be a big fan of that because I'd be afraid that a kid might leave it open and get some water up there. I'm afraid the damage would happen before you realize that it was open or cracked or anything like that. So let's come down here to this little dude right here. So basically, this kind of brings everything all together in that we know what our solar is doing, which is absolutely nothing because we're inside. There is not any kind of integration with the transfer switch, so we don't know exactly what kind of amperage we're pulling. All the Firefly will display that, but as far as let you know kind of what your inverter is doing, and then your charge status as well. So this is available in Bluetooth. It's also available in a wireless setup, and I was talking to a customer earlier. He said that once you get your Victron account set up, and as long as you have Wi-Fi on board, which we obviously do, that you can have this set up where it will upload information to a server for Victron, and then you can go back and do basically like a graph. So you can kind of tell what your coach is doing. You see what kind of a power you're drawing from this unit, all going off that server. So I thought that was pretty cool. We definitely have a lot more to learn about this. So essentially, we dumped the little Victron inverter controller and added this guy right here. And then inside here, it gets a little difficult to add this 2 units after the fact. Well, I take that back. We actually had to add it back in there. So essentially, there's nothing to see. Essentially, everything integrates to that controller, and then you have a relatively small HDMI cable. So the customer had asked, it was like, hey, can we add it up there? The problem is getting to that location, and then basically that module, you have a relatively small cable. So that's the reason why we added it right there. 1, we had a hole, and 2, we just didn't have enough room. So it'll be interesting to see the placement. I'm sure there's some additional longer HDMI cables, but we just simply couldn't run it through the floor. But because this thing is wireless and the Bluetooth capabilities, that'll basically kind of negate for having to look at that thing all the time. But it's not that big of a deal to get down there and take a look. This will be some of the features you'll see on the 2023. To me, it was very much just kind of lacking, and I think it was just due to the simple fact that they kind of got thrown into the Victron because of the shortage of the Magnum inverters, and it just kind of completes the package. So happy to have that. We have that stuff here in stock, so we have more customers that are going to come in and kind of do an upgrade. There again, lots of customers not happy with the Giboni controllers, so kind of eliminate that problem and that concern. So happy to have that. Happy to have great guys to install all this stuff. This customer, I think he's going to be over the top with his coach. Just kind of that next step. Not that he was unhappy with his Verona, but the problem is once you get into one of these classics, it's difficult to go backwards from there. So I think he's going to be really happy with the coach. We'll get him in here this weekend, get him all set up with his coach, get him play, and by Monday or Tuesday, he'll probably know more about this than I do. So happy to get him in here and start really playing with stuff and learning more things. But sorry to keep on rambling on. We always appreciate you guys going through these videos. I know if you're hearing me now, you've heard the entire video. There's so much information going on here. I know there's lots of comments about the 2023 stuff that's coming on. I just wanted to kind of let people know that while I appreciate you looking at this video, watching this video, don't fall in love with some of this stuff because it won't be available. And it's just an unfortunate part of them kind of streamlining production, trying to do some more of like the Explorers, and just trying to kind of integrate different things in their production. So it's kind of an unfortunate part about as business progresses, but just kind of know that we can add a lot of these things to these coaches after the fact here. All the guys in the shop take great pride. Everybody comes out, talks about how clean our shop is, and you can eat off it. I get down on the shop floor with this shirt, and I can roll around and get up, and I'm nice and clean. So that's a big tribute to the dealership here and everybody that works here. So glad you guys always come out and check out our videos. With any certain luck, we'll be back in Indiana on Thursday or Friday. We'll have a CMR that has some pretty cool stuff to it as well. We'll make sure we hit a video of that before it heads to its new owner in Ohio. Make sure you guys like, tag, subscribe, and then just in general, just give us a call. If you have any questions about anything. We got a pretty limited production of classics for 2023 that are coming, but you never know. You might as well get an order in now and try to see if we might be able to get another one. They're kind of opening up a few things. We do have some chassis that are going to be available. I'll just kind of throw that one out there. We got some chassis that you won't be able to get anywhere else. So we'll have some additional units on those chassis. So if you're a diehard trucker, you need to check out the chassis we got coming. So make sure you guys keep on coming back. I appreciate your time.